Hello, welcome everyone. Wait, do I have this right? Welcome. It's so great to be back here with you for my weekly Priestess Rise Up transmission. My name is Lisa Espinosa, and every week, I'm here to connect with you to help empower your priestess path, to help you release anything that's blocking it so that you can rise up and be the leader, be the beacon of light, be the channel of love that you're here to be. And so I would love to see who's here if you want to share in the chat. And so I announced last week that this month of October was going to be all about self-love. And after I said that during the week, I was like, really, do I want to talk about this for a month? That seems so, like I'll get tired of it or I'll run out of things to say. What was I thinking, right? It was my ego saying that. It was our misunderstanding of what love is. So if you're new to my work, the teachings that I share here are all from my forthcoming book, Priestess Rise Up. And the signature, the lineage, the flavor, if you want to call it, of my priestess path is that of unconditional love, is to learn to reclaim our ability to lead through unconditional love. What does that mean? It means our ability to channel unconditional love to ourselves and to the world. And so how do we do that? Right? We do that by stepping out of the way. So when I talk about October being a month of self-love, it's really a month of remembering what is already our divine inheritance, right? It is the month of remembering our power to do that. And it is the month of healing trauma and burdens and wounds and programming and conditioning that have kept us looking outside of ourselves for completion. When in reality, it is our divine birthright to receive the unconditional love from source, from our soul, from the divine spirit, God, Goddess, whatever word you use. And so today, as I was preparing, I was guided to share a little excerpt from my book. And this is a little vignette that I start in the chapter where I'm really describing what I mean by unconditional love. And this is because there's a lot of misunderstanding about this, right? Unconditional love. There's a lot of misunderstanding. And I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm not talking about emotional love. I'm talking about that divine quality that love is. That quality that is God, is source. And because we are holographic images of source, because we are imbued with all of those same divine qualities, we are love as well. And for a long time I always had a calling of service, to serve, to help the world, to bring about planetary healing. When I was little, I thought of it as like, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a teacher. And as I grew up, that stayed. But I never understood, when I would hear like, well, you can't really love others unless you love yourself. And I would always kind of roll my eyes at that, because I was like, I love others. And I knew I wasn't particularly loving to myself. So I kind of dismissed that as like a nice thing to say, but not really true. And then, of course, as I got wiser, as I went through my own healing journey and initiations, I started to understand more what that meant. And so I understood that the more I courageously witnessed the parts inside of me that had pain, that I compassionately listened to their stories and helped them unburden, the more I did that with my inner world, especially with those parts of me that I had exiled, that I had dismissed, that perhaps I had shame about, or guilt, or trauma. I started to understand that as I did that, the more committed I was to my healing journey, and the more that that I took the time to welcome those parts of me rather than shun them away. As I did that, what would happen energetically inside of me is that those places where I still held judgment of myself, right, that would soften, that would dissolve, there would be more light. And then I would become a wider channel of love for others, so that I understood, oh, yes, I was a loving person. However, there were certainly people or types of people or whatever judgments I had that I withheld love from, not even consciously sometimes. And so the more I did this, the more I understood, I started to understand what I considered cheesy saying before of like, you can't love others unless you love yourself. I started to understand the deep spiritual truth of that. And so when I talk about reclaiming our power to lead through unconditional love, really it is a process of getting out of the way. And one of the ways I learned this the most profoundly was through my journey when I did a lot of Reiki healing. As a Reiki master. So now in my work, I'm a spiritual career coach. I integrate Reiki and energy healing and all sorts of tools. But one of my entryways after I left my job as a middle school teacher was to study Reiki, to get my Reiki training, to become a Reiki master and all of those things. So as I've been writing this book and really reflecting on my journey, and really have come to appreciate how perfectly it was designed. Even though at the time I was frustrated, at the time, I judged it. I felt things weren't happening quick enough. And so when I started actually doing Reiki sessions for clients, it was at a fertility center, at a holistic fertility center. I was so insecure about my Reiki skills. And so for those of you who don't know what Reiki is, it's a form of energy healing where you're literally channeling universal life force energy, right? And that was like right at this, I'm talking 13 years ago. This was right at the beginning, something like that, at the beginning of my entry into being a spiritual entrepreneur, a healer. And so I had been up to then a middle school teacher, and I was really nervous, like really insecure, really like, do I even channel Reiki energy? These women are going to think, what the heck is she doing? So I had all those insecurities that are very normal and common to have. And yet that was what initiated me into this deeper understanding of love coming from source. So I'm going to read to you this little it's a little longer, not too long, excerpt that starts this chapter on unconditional love. And it's describing, again, this is like over a decade ago, but it's describing one of my first sessions that I did there at this fertility center and what happened, right? So just take it in and see, and we'll talk about it a little bit after that. And then I want to do a meditation to really, for you to tap into that process of getting out of the way and receiving this unconditional love. Okay, so here we go. I love you, a voice inside me said. I was in the middle of doing one of my first Reiki sessions at the Holistic Fertility Center where I had been recently hired. I was still very new to this world of alternative healing and quite nervous when clients would come in for their Reiki appointment with me. But I was committed to learning, and so I kept showing up despite my insecurities. My client lay fully clothed on a massage table as I gently placed my hands on different areas of her body. We were in a lightly dim room with soothing music playing in the background and beautiful crystals adorning the space. I know some of you are familiar. with this, right? You might be an energy healer. You might have gone to sessions like this. I connected with my breath and tried to relax. I knew that doing Reiki was ultimately about getting out of the way so that healing could flow through me. So my intention was to be in stillness and allow the healing to happen. As I softened into the moment, I heard a quiet voice from within me repeating, I love you, I love you, I love you. To be clear, I wasn't hearing a voice that sounded different than my own. Rather, it sounded like my voice, but I knew it wasn't coming from me. I certainly did not love my client. I didn't dislike her. I actually hardly knew her. I wanted good things for her, of course, and mostly I really wanted her to like the Reiki session. But here was this voice from within me directing tender I love yous to her. I was startled and even embarrassed by those intimate words flowing from me. I didn't speak them out loud, of course, but they were a clear broadcast emanating from within me. I tried to ignore them, but they kept coming back. I love you. And it wasn't just the words, it was an energy of love flowing through me that I couldn't control. I cringed at the thought of being taken over by this love and accidentally blurting out, I love you, to this client I hardly knew. So I tried to resist it. But resisting it meant tensing up my body, which would then cut off the flow of healing moving through me. That didn't feel right, so I would relax, and the same message would be there, I love you. I'd then tense up again, only to once again recognize that tensing wasn't the right approach, so I'd relax again, and there it would be again, the love. This pattern continued several times until finally, too tired to keep tensing up, I just surrendered. When I did, it felt like a gush of water flowing through me with the clear, calm, consistent message, I love you. I somehow understood that this love was coming from what we might call God, Source, Divine, Spirit, Universe. But in that moment, all those terms felt limiting. This was an energy that had no gender, no religion, and no particular spiritual path. It was love coming from love, all caps. That love. Love was loving this client through me. Furthermore, loved loving. It had no agenda. It wasn't seeking anything in return. It just loved. I knew that this client was unconditionally loved by love, this love energy. I also knew that this love was paradoxically both personal and completely impersonal, meaning that love intimately knew my client, like it knew her name, and at the same time, it loved everyone in the same way. There was no earning this love or losing this love. It was just there. And furthermore, I knew this must mean it was true for me. I must be this loved as well. And I'm still taking that in. End of scene. So that's the end of that vignette. So what was happening? And that's the first time I remember that happening. But then every time I would do Reiki, every time I would teach a meditation class and I would integrate Reiki, that would be there. It would just be like this, I love you, to whoever I was working on. And I knew it was, like I said in that excerpt, it wasn't me saying it, although in truth, I guess it was me, but it was coming from beyond me. And so for me, this practice of doing Reiki was teaching me, one, that everyone was loved. It wasn't just a nice thing to say. Like I knew that you could sit anyone in front of me and I could place my hands on their shoulders and channel Reiki energy and love would send them love. It wasn't like, oh, this is a nice person, let me give them more love. Ooh, this is a bad person, let me not love them. It was not like that at all. I felt that. So it taught me that. And then it also taught me that I could, the more I surrendered, the more I released the agenda, the more I got out of the way, the more that love could flow through me. And of course, most importantly, it taught me that I must be loved in the same way. And that was, and of course, I'm still learning that, but that was, as I've been reflecting on being a channel of unconditional love, I realized that how perfect, how smart, how wise my soul was to put me in that situation, to have me follow that path of Reiki, to teach me that in a way that perhaps other, reading it in a book wouldn't have taught me. And so when I talk about October being this month of self-love, what I'm not talking about like giving yourself a hug or saying nice things about yourself. Those are all great, and you might want to do that as well. But I'm talking about that radical journey, that courageous journey of pausing and setting the intention of stepping out of the way and letting yourself receive this love. It is simple and yet not necessarily easy, but it's easier when we do it together. And it's easier when we set the intention to do it. And why is this important? So we go back to the beginning when I said there are parts of you, parts inside of you, inner children, inner adults, that need love. That's part of the human journey. Unless we are ascended masters, unless you've already ascended, and if you're here, I believe you're having a human journey. We're ascended masters in training, right? Which means that we are human and we have parts that have wounds. We have parts that have trauma. We have parts that have programming that has taught us that we're not lovable. We all do. It's not that something's wrong with you. It's like we all have that. And I really believe the problem with the world is that when we don't tend to those parts of us within, we're always searching outside for completion. And that can become a real downward spiral, right? And so we're going to do that together. We're going to step into ceremony. And as we step into ceremony, we're going to open up, because this process of reclaiming your power of unconditional love is requires such a divine feminine and divine masculine approach. It requires a sacred marriage from within, right? It requires our intuition, our opening, and it requires the divine masculine to have the commitment, the courage, the discipline to stay the course. It's much easier to do things as you've always done. Right? It's not in the long run, but in the short run, it is easier. Just like, well, why do I want to do all this inner work? How will that help? And that if you have a prayer to be of service, and I believe if you're here, you do have a prayer to be of service, then that is how you do. There's no shortcut, right? I've said that before. We can't skip the inner healing work, the loving ourselves, loving those parts of us that we've tried to shun or exile. Okay, so we're going to do that. So we're going to step into ceremony. So I invite you to close your eyes, or perhaps just focus on something in front of you. And as you do that, we take some nice cleansing breaths. Feel the earth under your feet. Feel your heart open. Feel the crown of your head, that energy center at the crown of your head, feel it open and radiant. And I call upon a circle of grace and empowerment to surround our whole circle. So everyone here live, everyone watching the replay, there is a circle of grace and empowerment and healing, so that only unconditional love is present. Even if you feel other things, the energy of unconditional love is surrounding us, ensuring that only what is in your highest good will pass. And so as we step into this field of unconditional love, let's bring the palms of our hands over our heart center. And if you can't do that right now, just bring your awareness there. And with your hands over your heart center, you are now going to invite your own beautiful soul, that true self that you are, that is connected to Source. Invite your soul to come out in front of you. So visualize in front of you, your soul is right there. And imagine that you can see the heart center of your soul. And your soul's heart has no blocks to love, right? Your soul is eternally connected to Source. So it is just free flowing love. It's love flowing unimpeded. Hi, Claire. So glad you're here. And so know that, remember that, like, whoa, my soul is like unconditionally loving, right? There's no agenda, there's no attachment, there's no grasping. It just loves. It does that. It is connected to Source. And so as you visualize your soul in front of you with her heart, and of course our soul is beyond gender, but I'm just going to use that pronoun for now. Her heart is open. You're seeing that in your heart, your heart center, right, in your human body, in your human self, is learning how to be like your soul's heart. It's learning how to remember, like it's remembering, oh, that is my truth. I am meant to embody this unconditionally loving heart of my soul. And this priestess path is about that journey, is about that commitment that we're taking to practicing, to remembering, oh wait, this is how my heart is meant to love myself and to love others. So let's take a moment and right now just feel an attunement happening between your soul's heart and your heart, right? It's this vibration, like a tuning fork, like it's just vibrating and it's awakening your heart. It's opening your heart past whatever resistance, past places where it was holding, like, no, it's not safe to love unconditionally. No, I don't know how to do this. Like, yes, you do, right? We're doing this together. And your heart stretching, opening. And just feel that. Just feel like this beautiful bell. I just feel like the divine is just like ding. It's like tinging the heart of your soul. And then that vibrates to your heart and your heart is opening. And as that happens, now you are going to invite a part of you that needs unconditional love right now. So you're just inviting any part that needs unconditional love. Maybe it's a young part. Maybe it's a part that is grieving someone, or a part that is discouraged, or a part that's been working so hard and it's still not seeing the results it's wanting to see. Right? So whatever it is, just really welcome that part. And as that part stands before you, she's standing like in between you and your soul. And you're reassuring her that you're not going to try to, or him or they, this part, that you're not trying to change it. You're not trying to fix anything. You're just going to radiate, you along with your soul, unconditional love to this part. Now you may find other parts of you that are like, wait, I want to fix it. Wait, I want to analyze it. Wait, I want to change it. That's okay. Notice all those and stay attuned to your soul's capacity to not only unconditionally love, but unconditionally accept. So if there are parts of you that worry, well, but if I accept it, does that mean it's not going to change? No, this is like, we're talking about divine acceptance. Divine acceptance that allows unconditional love to flow and then allows the miracle to happen beyond your ability to control it. So let's take a moment together as we radiate love to this part of us or these parts of us that are needing it right now. So let's do that for a few moments. And just notice if the part shifts in any way. Doesn't have to, but as it receives this love, perhaps it starts to release things, or it just starts to take up more space. Just notice. Or perhaps it stays the same, and that's perfectly fine. And so just a few more breaths. And thank the part for trusting, for letting you know that it needed love. And so as that part steps aside, right, surrounded in so much love, we're now going to take a moment to visualize our planet, beautiful planet Earth, that beautiful jewel. Visualize her just like right there at the center. You are here, your heart is open, your soul is in front of you, and in between is planet Earth. So let's all of us visualize, right, Gaia, Earth. And we're going to, as we're doing this now, we're not just connecting with our soul, right? The divine, right? The divine God, Goddess, the great mystery, universe, source, spirit, whatever you want to use. Love. We're opening for that to flow through us as we beam this to the earth. Again, no conditions, no agenda. Let's just beam this love to planet Earth for a few breaths here. And if you're naturally guided, you don't force it, but if you're naturally guided to particular places on the planet or particular people or particular living beings, then follow that guidance. But you're not, you're just allowing, just allow. Perhaps you're just sending it to the planet. Or perhaps you're guided to kind of laser in on a certain part. So we're just going to do that for a few breaths. And just feel Mother Earth sending you so much gratitude. Feel your soul sending you so much gratitude as the earth dissolves in light for right now. When we come back to your body, come back to the earth. Know that your soul, of course, is always with you. Not only is your soul inside of you, you are inside of your soul. And send love to that part or those parts of you. And we bring the palms of our hands together and we bow to each other. We close the ceremonial space with a namaste. Namaste, everyone. I'm going to drink a little tea. Remember that we start this ceremony here together, and then the gems, the blooms, the blossoms from our time together continue to come. So if you want to share in the chat just anything that came to you, any visual you had, the part that came for me was this like an adult part that was just kind of sitting like feeling very tired, just kind of this very hardworking part that I have that was just kind of like, oh, I'm so tired. And she was very kind of frustrated about certain things, that she wants certain results and they haven't happened. And so she was very tired, and it felt really nice. She was just there receiving this love. And as she did that, it was like she was able to relax and be like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't up to me. I can step aside and rest. So that was really helpful for me. And so I'm going to pull an oracle card. And if you want to share anything, feel free to do that. And when as we continue this month, we're going to keep going deep into that. Like, how do we attune our heart to that power that it has? And so I'm going to pull a card from the Priestess Oracle, Priestess of the Light Oracle. That's this one here. And then we will be done. Thank you so much for being here. All of you who are here. I know sometimes there's like a delay, and there's been times when after I'm done, I see people's chats and sharing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't comment on it. So please know that if I don't comment on something you wrote, it's because I can't see it. There's like some sort of delay sometimes. All right, so let's pull a card and then we will be done. Oh, how beautiful. So sacred gratitude, reverent appreciation, prayer. And look at this beautiful woman touching the tree. Sacred gratitude. And this feels really about being grateful for your path, grateful to all of these parts of you that have gotten you to this moment, right? They need so much appreciation and gratitude. Even as you step into a higher level of leadership or service, there's just a lot of gratitude. And I love that she's touching the tree. It feels like perhaps you'll go touch a tree or do a ceremony with the trees to help you be in that place of reverence for your path. That's what's coming, like reverence for your path. Right? Even if parts of you are like, oh, it's gone so slow, or I should be here instead of there, like trust you're exactly where you're meant to be. All right, my dears, there it is. All right, I will see you next Wednesday at 2:30. The Priestess course, level 1 course, starts this Sunday. There's still time if you want to sign up. I feel like there's a few more priestesses, few more women. This is the foundational course. This is all about really tuning into the initiations that you're going through, and how do we get through those with more ease, grace, love, power. I'm going to share more excerpts from my book, but also like meditations, activations, special teachings. It's just going to be such an amazing time together. So if that calls to you, check it out on my email. I'll put it on the link in the video. And if you want to have a complimentary little short Zoom talk about it, I'd be happy to do that. All right. Bye, everyone. Talk to you soon.